So, who knows what the Apple Vision Pro is? You guys know what that is? You've seen the advertisements? So I'm lucky enough, like Rabbi Garfinkel said, to teach in a high school. So I get a lot of my information from high school kids because if you want to know about technology, that's where you get information from high school kids. So they tell me all about this stuff. And the latest one they told me about is the Apple Vision Pro. They didn't just tell me about it. They showed me all the videos. And you put the goggles on, and there's a computer basically in front of you, and you're doing all these different things, and you're tapping this, touching this, whatever. Somehow, I still didn't get. I was trying to ask these kids how this works. Basically, it's not virtual reality. That's the metaverse, which, by the way, completely crashed. That whole thing never took off. They sold that as like the next biggest thing in the universe, and it just completely crashed. Thank God for that, because that would have totally ruined the world, but it didn't. So thank God for that. But this is not virtual reality. This is augmented reality, okay? Augmented reality. Augmented reality means that I'm going to look at the room, I'm going to see all of you, but I'm also going to see my apps in front of me. And if while I'm talking to you, I get a text message, so I'm looking right at you, but I'm also reading a text message right here in front of me. No. And that's how it's going to be. And I'm going to look at, let's say, my refrigerator over there, and instantly what's going to pop up is my shopping list of things that I need. And life is going to be completely different using these goggles. Now, if you watch the videos carefully, you'll see they have, let's say, a father or mother in the house, and they're wearing the goggles, and they're doing whatever they're doing, and then their kid comes over to them. And they're trying to prove the point that the screen, right, the goggles are like blackened and shaded, so you're able to look at the screen wherever you're looking at. And then when someone comes over to you, it automatically becomes transparent. And now you can look at the person in the eyes. But the goggles don't go away. And they're not these. They're these big, thick things that wrap around your face. So very, very soon, by the way, very soon, you're going to be on an airplane, and every person on that plane is going to be wearing these big, thick goggles all over them. That's how people are going to look. You're not going to see everyone's face anymore. You're going to see these goggles. You know why? Because it's the coolest thing ever. It really is. They showed me how you can be, I forgot what they called it, the tower in the Marvel movies, the Avengers. What's the tower called? Anyone? It's like the Stark Towers, that thing, the Stark Towers, right? So you could be sitting on top of the Stark Towers. They show that virtual reality type of thing on top of Stark Towers with the video screen in front of you, and you're watching the Avengers movies while you're sitting on top of Stark Towers, really feeling like you're sitting there. And while you're flying in a plane 30,000 feet in the air. So this stuff is very cool, and it's going to completely change things around. But what they're trying to show you is, don't worry, it's okay, because when your kid comes over to you, the screen is going to go away, and the transparency is going to come back, and you'll be looking at your kid. Now, granted, again, you'll be looking at your kid through the big, thick goggles. And that's how your child is going to see you forevermore, through those big, thick goggles. Look at the eyes? No, look at my eyes through the big, thick goggles that I'm wearing. So this is what's going on in the world. This is what's going on in the world. They are hoping to sell about 1 million of these within 2024. If you have $3,500 just lying around, like under the couch cushions or whatever, you can have one too. $3,500.
Showed up with that.
Well, one wouldn't be surprised. So I have one kid who, thank God, he does very well already because he's a brilliant mind in computers. He already works for Microsoft, and he's basically set for life, like one of these kids who's so good at computers. He's got that little path already set for him. He's like, yeah, we're all going on Thursday to the Apple store because you get like a free trial with these things. He's like, there's no way I'm walking out without buying it. I'm really nervous. I'm going to have to buy it. Like, don't do it. But, it's his money. He's going to do it, whatever it is. So anyway, Rabbi Garfinkel reminded me of a comment I used to make when I first started giving this type of speeches about 6 or 7 years ago. And I don't think it's changed. So we're going to start off with this comment. And it's not really a hot take or like a clickbait type of thing. It's just the truth. It's just absolute truth. You ready for it? Here we go. The world has changed more in the last 10 years, well, I'd say 15 years, than during any 15-year time period in the history of mankind.
True. Definitely true.
Who says false?
It's true.
Okay, what are the time periods? 60s. Very good, excellent. So that would be the other option. Why? Because what happened in the 60s? Well, that was going even further back, but that changed things in a different way. But that was also over time, not just 10 years. Oh, no. I thought we were talking about something else. What else was happening in the 60s? Okay, because we got to get it for the video. The world has, I'm laughing. The world has changed more in the last 15 years than during any 15-year time period in the history of mankind. Human nature, emotions, our psyche, our brains have changed more in the last 15 years than any other time period. Now, there are other decades that people can point to. The 60s has come up when I've expressed this thought to other people. Why the 60s, though? What happened in the 60s?
Next week.
Exactly. So that's the topic for next week, just to give you a hint. But that.
There was the East and West, and the moon landing.
So those are historical events.
Well,
It didn't
I
change
think what
human
you're getting at
nature.
is the reason why it's changed so much is it's been exponential growth, building, compounding on the technology, computing powers. Yeah.
So that's going to be my question. That's my question to you. What has changed? What has changed so much?
Technology.
Okay, technology, good. Speed of technology, okay, that changes mankind, that changes access, okay. These are all very important things, but does that change human nature?
Yes.
What has changed? So what about human nature has changed? Reliance, meaning what? What does reliance change about me? Okay. Good, excellent. So now we're getting a little bit more close to something much deeper, right? The way we interact with each other has fundamentally changed. Our relationships have fundamentally changed. Again, in a way, maybe you could say the 60s, maybe, but that was really more romantic relationships. This is talking about every relationship you have, any interaction you have. Things have fundamentally changed, but on a much deeper level, something else changed. Connection, true, good. But again, it's still something much deeper, I think, at least. This is my own little theory. This is what I think.
Subjective
So
theory. I don't know if you guess.
it is. That's true. I want to see. All right. So I'll start off.
I didn't promise easy ground tonight, Rob.
That's good. I like this. This is a lot of fun this way. I like this. All right. So I'll start off with a little bit of a background story. I once went to a marriage therapy seminar by two of the most famous marital therapists in the entire world. The names are Doctors John and Julie Gottman. Anyone hear of them? Doctors John and Julie Gottman, world-renowned marital therapists. Okay, they have what's called the Love Lab, where they basically take married couples and they hook them up to like EKGs and oxygen readers and pulse things, whatever. And what? No, this was all the old times. But in the future, I'm sure they will do that way. And they've taken scientific studies of how interactions between a husband and a wife work, and how the communication works, what doesn't work, what are the red flags, what are not red flags. So they've revolutionized the field of marital therapy. There's not a single marriage therapist out there in the world who doesn't study Dr. John and Julie Gottman. So they came to Yeshiva University, the famous university in New York, where a lot of Jews go in New York. So they came, not NYU, Yeshiva University. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I was going to say it's. So, in the middle of their seminar that they were giving, 500 people showed up. You're talking about marriage therapists. You're talking about matchmakers. You're talking about some of the biggest rabbis in the YU Yeshiva University world. You're talking about shul rabbis, community rabbis, social workers, therapists, marriage therapists. 500 people were there. And at what point they posed a question to the crowd, and no one knew the right answer. No one. The question was a simple one. They said like this: what is the first step of having, they were talking about marriage, we can globalize it a little bit more. What's the first step in having a happy and healthy relationship? Or in that case, again, marriage. What's the first step? Communication, very important, good. Nope, something comes before that. Respect, also a very important thing. Something comes before that. Well, once attraction is a precursor to having a relationship. Once you have the relationship, you're in the relationship. So how do you make it? Self-esteem, also very important, but something else. I saw a hand up. Oh, attraction, again, it's an important thing, but it's more of a precursor to getting into the relationship. Connection, also a very important thing. But again, everyone was giving their suggestions. You're talking about a room of 500 experts. No one knew the right answer, so it raises our curiosity, right? You know what they said? The first step in having a happy marriage. Very good. They said, here's the key word. Okay, so we're getting there a little bit. It's close. You're on the right track. They said concentration. Concentration. To be able to see the person. Very good. Concentration meaning If I am not present in the relationship and I'm not thinking and looking at the other person and trying to make them happy, then I'm not going to be able to make them happy. Now, Dr. John and Julie Gottman, the experts that they may be for sure, so they introduced this idea and I was blown away. I was amazing. Happened to be, I was learning a little, almost they call it like a notebook from a rabbi from the late 1900s. I actually met him once. A very famous rabbi. His name was Rabbi Shlomo Volbe in Jerusalem. I met him once. It was an unbelievable experience. So he wrote this little kuntras, it's called, like a little notebook that for young grooms, for chasanim, young grooms, newly married men. And in there he says, what is the first step in a happy marriage? And he's writing this well before the Gottmans wrote it. The Hebrew phrase is simas leiv tamid. So what word do you recognize now maybe? Word leiv. What's leiv? Heart. Putting your heart and paying attention always. And he gives a very simple example. He says a very simple example. Again, he's talking to the men. He says you come home and you see there's a new vase on the table. And if you're just spaced out and not really focusing, not really paying attention, and not really looking for things, you don't pay attention to the new vase. And yet, why is that vase on the table? Where did it come from? Your wife just got it, and she put it on the table. Why'd she put it there? Just because she just had to know to put it? Why? She wants to notice. But why? But why? She wants to notice for what purpose? She's making the house nicer. She wants to make the house a warmer, more friendly place. She did it for a reason. And yet, I'm the husband. I walk in. I'm just like, oh, what a busy day at work. I just want to sit on the couch and just chill. And I'm not concentrating. I'm not focused. So then my wife thinks, wait a second. I just did that for my husband to make him feel warmer and happier coming inside our apartment together. And now she's not even noticing what's going on. And this plays itself out in so many deeper ways also that, again, if we're not really focused and concentrating, communication is crucially important, 100%. And to give is so important, 100%. All these other things we want to say, and to compromise. Which, by the way, compromise is the foundation of a terrible marriage. That'll be maybe the talk for, If compromise is the foundation of your marriage, then you're in bed. I'll give you, by the way, perfect example.
He's coming back next week.
Perfect example going on right now. If
You're saying foundation rather than an aspect of something that you need to do, right? Like you have a foundation of compromise.
Good, but the phrase that people say.
Part of every relationship, regardless.
Good, so we'll get to that. What people say is compromise is the foundation. That's the phrase that goes around the world. So that's what people say. So I'll tell you, my wife and I thought it was going to be a little bit late, but thank God there's no traffic. I got easy parking. It was great. So my son is 13 years old right now. He's in 8th grade. So he has to choose a high school for next year. And thank God he got into his two top choices, which are both very, So he's not going to Skokie Yeshiva. He wanted to go to the different kinds of places. So he got into his two top choices. We were kind of hoping he wouldn't get into one because then we'd have to make a decision. Now we have to make a decision. Now, the more my wife and I talk, clearly we're thinking very different things. So the rabbis here who know my wife, they can maybe just keep this down, okay? We're clearly ready to. Now, who can tell me, I was really thinking about it. Oh, I'm taped now, great. Hi, honey. I was really thinking about it. This is really like our first major life decision that we really have to make. One was moving to Chicago. And that was really my decision because my wife is from Chicago. I'm from New Jersey. I wanted to stay there. So I made that decision. That wasn't a we decision because my wife wanted to move here. So that was a me decision. This is the first real life decision that we have to make together. And the more we're talking, clearly my wife is favoring one school and I am favoring a different school. Now, who can tell me how do we compromise on that choice? Anyone? So that's not compromise. What do we call that? What? I'll give another example. I would love to live in New Jersey. I love Chicago. It's great. It really is. But I would love to New Jersey. Hi, honey. My wife wants to stay in Chicago. How do we compromise on that decision?
You live in Ohio instead.
So that is a major factor, 100%. Except, what if our son, being 13 years old, isn't fully aware of how the factors are going to affect him? So that's when it gets a little tricky. What? Right. So that's when it gets tricky. Now, we know he's stated clearly which one he wants to go to, but that becomes a very tricky concept then. So again, compromise, right, this is a little bit of a tangent. Compromise is not the foundation because so many of the decisions you have to make, communication and then just giving. If you need to compromise, that means I'm not willing to give 100%. I'm only willing to give a little bit as long as you give me something also. That's not a good foundation. But again, we're going way off topic. But the bottom line is, if I'm not focusing, I'm not concentrating, I'm not thinking about my other person, my significant other, then the relationship doesn't go anywhere. There's nowhere for it to go. Now, I want to take it a little bit step deeper, one step deeper.
About each other, then you don't get anywhere either. Because she does what you want, you do what she wants, and you're still in the same spot.
If only, from your lips to God's ears, if only those were the fights couples had. Yes. So if only those are the fights that we had. If only. But by the way, that one becomes a little tricky. Sometimes giving to your spouse means taking your own way. And that becomes, again, a little tricky type of situation. So I want to tell you a quote. I want to tell you a quote that comes from the Babylonian Talmud going back, let's say, 2,000 years. I saw this quote. I was floored. I couldn't believe the depth and how profound the nature of this quote is. The quote from the Talmud says like this: if not for the noise in the street, okay, if not for the noise in the street, a person would be able to hear the sun turning. If not for the noise of the street, a person would be able to hear the sun turning. How powerful is that? What's that trying to say? It's very poetic, right? Very poetic. If not for the noise of the street, a person would be able to hear the sun turning. Because what happens? You have a question? Yep.
I think people. I think about immediately myself. Whenever I leave my apartment, I'm listening to music. It's almost weird to walk inside my apartment not to be listening to a podcast or music.
Uh-huh.
The times that I have, I've had really deep thoughts because I have nothing. But what I was going to say is, I think that people enjoy being distracted by things. But I'm wondering if your point is that it's also not allowing us to be introspective.
And there it is. Because, for time, I guess we'll just jump right to that. So this is what happens. One of the most important aspects of life, if not the most important aspect of life, is to be in touch with ourselves and to understand and to know and to believe in who we truly are. If a person cannot do that, then they're already starting off on an uphill battle, and they're not able to accomplish everything they want to accomplish in the world. Yeah.
Is that mutually exclusive with technology? Meaning
so you tell me, what do you think?
No.
It's not.
No.
Okay, why not?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay, in what way? What way?
I mean, everybody's different. What way? Variables. Many variables, right?
Right.
Whatever journey they went on in their own life, whatever relationship they have with Hashem, everybody's different. So I don't see it as totally mutually exclusive. In fact, I think with the information age, you can use it to your benefit. Very true, 100%. In a lot of ways, you can use it to your benefit. So I'll tell you a different quote. This comes from a rabbi alive now in New Jersey. He's like one of the foremost experts in the Jewish world on technology and how it affects the world. He says as follows: there's a difference between, there's a difference between being online and living online. Hear the difference? You can be online without living online.
It's almost impossible to disconnect them. Before the last 15 years, there was a clear divide.
Yes, 100%. So much so, I was driving home from Skokie Yeshiva yesterday home. I have a 3-mile drive home right down Tui Avenue. 3-mile drive. I pull up next to a light. Hold on, I'm going to get to you in a second. I pull up next to a light, okay? The car next to me pulls up right next to me. We're stopped at a light. So we're just like looking around a little bit. How long do you wait at a red light? I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? It was within 2 seconds. Within 2 seconds, this woman in the car next to me, her phone was on the dashboard. I see, and I had to look because that's what I do, and I probably shouldn't, but I had to look. I'm like, look at, what is she doing? She's scrolling through her Instagram page. I know what an Instagram page looks like. I'm not smart enough to know that. For 2 seconds, she couldn't hold back from going on. You're driving the car. Just wait. You'll get to where you're going. Don't worry. But we can't. She's an influencer. Oh, okay. Yes, please. Yes, of course.
I don't see it that way. I see
Okay, yes.
a symbiotic relationship with technology, actually.
Okay.
It's inevitable, right? So you can cling on to your tradition, but this is happening.
Okay.
So rather than compartmentalize technology and us,
Mm-hmm.
really it's becoming both of us. like he's on his phone right now. It might as well be an extension. He's outsourcing.
He doesn't mean to point you out or anything. Don't worry. Just,
Point.
yes. No, I hear it. Yeah. Right.
We're outsourcing our memory to the device, right? So that we can clear up our own memory maybe for the tongue. We're outsourcing, so it's more of a symbiotic thing. And if you can actually understand it, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, and you could actually understand that it's part of us. It's our
Conceptually, yes. But it doesn't work.
So there's okay. So I think there's a difference in the way and what you're talking. I think of both of you how you're talking. There's a difference between using, let's focus on a smartphone. Okay, let's focus on a smartphone. There's a difference in using my smartphone as my life and as the way you're saying it, that symbiotic relationship, versus using my smartphone as a tool. So you're right. If I use my smartphone as a tool for productivity in life, then okay, fine. But once my emotions and my social life and once my feelings about myself become bound to that device, so then it's not a symbiotic relationship anymore. It's not. Because a person then stops thinking, they stop concentrating, they stop focusing on their own life, and they start living a life that's just external to themselves. And they never have that quiet time just to listen to the sun turn. Yeah.
And I think I phrased it a different way.
Yep.
Going from something that is enhancing your life, right, as an addition,
Okay.
as opposed to something that is, I'll say for dramatic purposes, you can't live without.
You rely on it.
Right.
More reliant, right.
Rely on, right.
Yep.
If you, right, you used to have conversations with people face to face.
Yes.
I'm a lawyer, right?
Right.
So I was always told it was much easier to practice law in 1980 than it is today.
Okay.
For the reason, well, I'm a transactional lawyer, so I don't know anything about litigation. But in the transactional context of, right, you sent a document to somebody, they sent it back. You maybe did that 2 times. Now, because of the velocity of email, mostly, right, in the late 90s, the document goes back and forth 100 times. You fight about every little thing, things that don't really matter at the end of the day, right? So technology, in some ways, can enhance the likes we have, right? In other ways, it can't, right? Think of, not Rabbi Garfield, but maybe some of the esteemed rabbis at Skokie Yeshiva, right? I assume many of you have kosher phones, right? You use your phone to be available, right?
Right.
To maybe communicate with people, but not to spend all day on and be on.
like I heard about this tonight.
Right.
From technology.
Right. So no one's saying that that's a bad thing. Right. That's why even on the promo video, which was the first time I ever did that, by the way, so hopefully it came out okay. In that promo, I said, no one's saying to throw my phone's in my jacket pocket over there. I have a smartphone. I would say it's about 90% kosher. I have a hockey app because I'm a big hockey fan, so I have to have a hockey app on there, and I have a Daily Wire from gotta get my Ben Shapiro and news stuff in, whatever, a little bit like that. But besides that, it's just I have Waze and banking and my travel apps and things like that. So it's a difference between.
Students communicate differently than you interface with your technology. Meaning,
for sure, right.
When they speak, and you, as like an older gentleman, might not really understand.
Ouch. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Right.
Point is,
yeah.
Do you think you might be biased?
Remember when I thought you were 25?
You might be biased to your own experience. So, because I think that these kids do communicate with emotion.
What communicate? What do you mean?
Like how you're saying that we're taking the human out because there's technology.
No, I didn't say take the human out. I didn't say that.
But the communicative.
Well, there are absolutely elements.
Right. Yeah.
Through text message.
Hold on. Yeah. So again, right. We haven't fully gotten to that part yet. I don't want to focus so much on the interpersonal connection part yet, but yeah.
So the nature of the story, right, is we'll pull up next to you looking on our phone. You pull up to the same stop. You're not looking on your phone, but you are looking at that person, looking at the stoplight. Your eyes are scanning.
Yes.
What's the big difference between like distracting yourself by looking at other things and looking at the phone?
Excellent question. It's a great point. You hear the point?
Yeah.
We pull up at the stop at the red light, right? So this woman next to me instantly goes onto her Instagram and starts scrolling. I just sitting there to start looking around. So what's the difference? The difference is that I'm taking in the information that's all around me. My brain is somewhat at rest, so to speak, where it's just allowed to just express itself in what it's seeing and what it's taking in and processing. When you're just scrolling through, so they've done studies on these things, the brain goes into like an autopilot mode. And you're not really processing and focusing and really internalizing the information that you're taking in. By the way, there's a whole other science to all of this about the way our brains work with technology. They've done studies, for example, let's say they put two groups of people into a museum. They told one group, walk around with your phone, take all the pictures, all the selfies you want. They told another group, no phones allowed. And then they brought them out of the museum and they gave them each tests about all the artwork that they saw. Who performed better on the test about the artwork? People without the phones. But we're taking pictures. Doesn't a picture capture the memory? It helps my brain work? No. What about Waze and maps? So they studied people, people who use Waze or Google Maps or whatever it is to get where they need to get to, or people who just use a map, like an old school paper map, and figure out how to get from place to place. And they asked them after the trip, they asked them questions about the route, about things they could have passed by. Did you notice that beautiful garden over there? Did you see that tall building? Did you notice the sun or whatever? And again, consistently, over and over again, the group of people who are using the regular map noticed the world way more. So again, if not for the noise of the outside street, we would hear the sun turning. So I'll tell you about a famous rabbi, again, from the Talmud times, going back 2,000 years ago. One of the most famous rabbis in the Talmud, one of the earliest rabbis of the Talmud. So he walks into the Holy Temple, to the Beis HaMikdash, on one of the greatest days of the year, on Sukkot. What would happen in the Holy Temple on Sukkot? Anyone know? Sacrifice what kind? What did they use? So this was water. They would use water. They would take water from this river that was outside the Temple Mount. They would bring it in, and it was the greatest, most happiest occasion. So much so that the rabbis say, if you never saw this celebration, you've never experienced true happiness in your life. That's what the rabbis say in the Talmud, in the Gemara. If you haven't experienced this, you've never experienced true happiness. God willing, we'll be able to feel it one day, very soon, hopefully. God willing. So you have this big rabbi, his name was Hillel HaZaken, Hillel the Elder. He would walk into this celebration, and he was the biggest rabbi alive at the time. He was the leader of the Jewish people. He would walk into this celebration, and he would say to everyone, if I am here, then everything is here. What in the world does that mean? Sounds a little egocentric, right? Narcissistic. If I'm here, then everything is here. It's almost like, okay, party starts now. I'm here. That guy, no one wants that guy at the party. No one wants that guy. Hillel HaZaken, the greatest rabbi of the generation, walks in and he says, if I'm here, then everything is here. What does he mean? What does he mean? Say again, what? Excellent. If he's here and he's saying, if I'm here, then everything is here. What is he saying? He's saying that nothing out there matters. If I'm here, then everything I need is right here. So I can experience this greatest joy, this greatest happiness that a person could possibly experience. I get to experience it because I am fully here. But if I've got that thing in my pocket and I know it's buzzing away, and what's it buzzing with? Notifications. What kind of notifications? 99.999% of these things are pointless notifications. Except Project 13, obviously. That was the extra 0.001%. Right, Rabbi Garfield, that was the extra 0.01%. Obviously, that's what I meant. That's what I'm saying here. Right, Project 613 and family type things. Right, those two things equal footing, obviously. Right, obviously. But that was exactly the mindset that he felt, if I'm here, I don't have to worry about anything else going out there. What do we call that nowadays? 4 letters? Very good. Excellent. If I'm here, then nothing else. I don't have to worry about where I could have been, what else is happening in the world. I don't have to scroll through someone's page because I'm here. Let me experience what I'm going through right here. They did a study. This came out of the University of Austin, University of Texas at Austin. Okay, it's a top college, one of the top colleges in the country. They did this study. When this study came out about 5 or 6 years ago, the whole world was talking about it. It's an unbelievable study. They took 3 groups of people. One of them, they said, leave your phone in the lobby. One of them, they said, put your phone on silent in your backpack. One of them, they said, put your phone on silent, flipped upside down in front of you right here. And then they gave them each a series of cognitive challenges. Who performed the best on those challenges consistently over and over and over again? Obviously, they account for different IQ levels and all these different things. Who performed the best on those cognitive challenges over and over again? The first group. The one with the phone in the lobby away from them. But if my phone's on silent, upside down right here, so it's not going to distract me.
So there's a similar test that was done with students taking math tests. One, the phone was away, the other, the phone was in their pocket. Similar
Right.
test.
Same thing.
Having your phone in your pocket takes up what I'll call cognitive RAM.
Exactly.
It takes away from your ability to
Subconscious, exactly. Subconsciously, it's occupying my brain space. It's automatically happening. Who here suffers? Who here suffers from PVS? Anyone? PVS? What is it?
Phantom vibe syndrome.
Phantom vibrating syndrome. When your phone is not in your pocket and yet you feel that vibration, right? Like on Shabbat.
Your phone is in your pocket.
Or even more so, and you could have sworn it vibrated, so you take it out, but nothing happened. Right?
That happens with notifications. Like you have you're like
So all of this. Very good, very good. Right, so guys, so all of this is a way of saying that when we're being taken away, when our minds are not fully present and fully focused on where we are, then we're not truly living the experience. Now, again, that's on one level. We're trying to interact with other people, or trying to be in a celebration. But the most dangerous aspect of all of it is when it takes us away from just being alone with ourselves. I was talking to a Harvard psychiatrist. He's a professor of psychiatry in Harvard University. So you know this guy's obviously very bright, very smart. So 3 years ago, I heard this guy speak. I just sent an email. I Googled him. I sent an email. I said, just wondering if you happen to have some time for me. You know, I talk about this stuff, technology, a lot. I heard you talk about technology. You have a half hour for me? He said, sure, no problem. Wow, this guy probably bills out at like $500 an hour. And he sat with me on a Zoom call for like a half an hour. It was unbelievable. So we talked about all these different technology things, all that kind of stuff. And then I said, any other points you think are important for me to know? What else? What's not being discussed? What are you finding? A Harvard psychiatrist. What are you finding in your research, in your work? So he says there's one thing, one aspect of technology that's not being discussed at all, but it's perhaps having one of the greatest impacts, especially on teenagers, but also on adults. What is technology totally killing? Attention spans for sure, but that's widely known. We discuss that. We talk about that all the time. Concentration. Sad, yes, but that's talked about all the time. All these things, those are talked about. You're right in all of them, but we talk about that. What don't we talk about? What?
The carrier pigeon industry.
Okay, you're right. That's not discussed. True, but okay. What else? What else? So, what? Effort. Okay, that's a little bit more of a deeper point, but I think that's still being spoken about. So he said, sleep. Sleep. People are not sleeping anymore, especially teenagers. You have any idea how important sleep is for a teenager? And even for us, how groggy do you feel when you get a bad night's sleep? Pretty bad, right? We're emotional, we're moody, people bother us. A good night's sleep. So he started quoting me all these studies about what a good night's sleep can do. And he even said that a lot of therapies, and this was going 3 years ago, he said a lot of therapies nowadays, one of the main focuses is not on talking about your relationship with your mother from like when you were a little child. No. Now they focus on, can we stabilize your sleep patterns? Can we make sure that you have a set, consistent night's sleep? Because that already, he said, solves half the battle. It's an unbelievable revelation. No one's going to sleep anymore. Now, why are we not going to sleep anymore? Because we're scrolling. But now, here's the deeper question. Why? I talked to one of my students. He just mentioned this the other day. He said to me, yeah, I fall asleep like every night scrolling through TikTok. I just like pass out. Why? Why do we do that? Why can't we just shut it off, leave it out over there, close the lights, go into bed, and go to sleep? Why can't we do that? Or even read a book. Why can't we do that? Yes, 100%. That's from the neuroscientists, the way they, 100%. But why? Why can't we put it away? FOMO is a part of it a little bit, but okay, but let me override. I'm going to overcome that. Phone away. I got to go to sleep. Why can't I go to sleep? Because there's something that's terribly scary about going to sleep? What is it?
You may not wake up the next day.
That's morbid. No, not necessarily. Okay, that is scary. You're right. Okay. But I don't know. No, not something much scarier. Something much scarier. What? I think a lot of people feel under control when they want to go to sleep. At least, hopefully, some people do. Hopefully. But what else? Excellent. When you close the lights, when lights are off, and you're in bed, and you can't fall asleep right away, that second, what do you have to do? What do we do at the end of the day? We think about our day. And we have to be alone with our own thoughts. And that is a scary thing sometimes. Now, there is an age-old custom in Judaism that every night, what do? We do what's called a cheshbon hanefesh, a calculation, an accounting of our day. And also, what do we say right before we go to sleep? We say Kriyat Shema, we say Shema. There's a bedtime Shema that we say right before we go to sleep. What's that all set up for? It's set up to allow us to think about our day in a way that says, what did I do well today? And also, what didn't I do well today? And we could be okay with that. We could be okay with saying, you know what? I didn't have such a good day today. I failed in a lot of ways. But what does that mean? Does that mean I'm scared to think about that? What does it mean? It means, you know what? I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about having a better day tomorrow. But that's a scary thought for so many people in the world. So it's so much easier to just not think about it. Let me just distract myself. And that's a person who's not concentrating on their lives. Now, we could be scared, but would you rather be scared and scared knowing that at least I'm setting myself up for a better result? Or would I rather just live in denial? It's much easier to live in denial. And also, by the way, it's also a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very cool. Those goggles, what they showed me not the augmented reality thing. They showed me the, what are the other ones called? VR, but it's Oculus, an Oculus Quest or whatever. So they showed me this thing, and like I was playing a game, and they have a video of me in the middle of my classroom, and I'm like going like this and punching things and going crazy, whatever, and they're all laughing at me, and I'm thinking I'm like punching out Mike Tyson. It was awesome. Okay, great. So, and then they showed me like how you set up the movie theater, and I was watching this thing. They put on like a football thing for me so I could watch it. It was the coolest thing ever, and it's great. But most importantly, a person who's doing that at night, would you rather do that or think about myself, think about my day, concentrate on who I am? That's scary. That's a lot harder.
Isn't it human nature to take the easy way out? And I think a lot of companies prey on that, right? Like
100%. It's a human nature to take the easy way out. 100%.
You can watch 4 screens at one time now.
Yes, 100%. Easy, human nature, for sure.
I think the secular world also is seeing the pictures of the people walking around with them on and judging them and saying, like, this is not going to turn out well for society if everyone is wearing this thing.
Well,
I think they're worried. I mean, even non-religious people are worried about it.
Right, oh, for sure. Yeah, the experts are talking about this. By the way, it's in Congress right now. The heads of TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook were in Congress being grilled by senators and congressmen and congresswomen who are grilling them about how they are ruining the society. They were grilling them.
That all show, like those people grilling them were the same people taking money from those same companies.
Okay, granted, that may be true, may not be true. It's a separate argument, but it's still risen to that level where it's being addressed. Clearly, it's there. So I want to share one more point. I just want to share one more point, and then just share two practical things we can maybe do. Okay. So here's my one point. We have a holiday coming up. Best day of the year. Best day of the year. Purim. Purim is the greatest day of the year. It's unbelievable. I tell my students from September 1st, I tell them that the whole year we're building up to Purim. It's the greatest day. Now, they're scared of me on Purim. That's a whole separate story. We'll get into that at maybe a different time. But Purim is the most amazing day of the year. What do we do on Purim? We dress up. I once saw a beautiful explanation why we dress up. Remember, Purim is the most powerful, deepest holiday throughout the entire Jewish calendar. Rabbi Ephraim Goldman will explain that to you at one point. It's an unbelievable day. Unbelievable day. It really is. It's the most powerful day. Why on the most powerful day of the year are we putting on a mask? We're dressing up like I don't know, like the Avengers. Why am I doing that? Because if I put on a mask to the world and no one can look at me, no one can see me, so what do I get to do? I get to put my focus inside. I get to say to the world, you're only seeing this mask. I'm the one who knows myself. I'm the one who can look inside and see who I am and believe in who I am and know who I am and concentrate on who I am, because that's how we make ourselves better people. That's how we feel like we're living a meaningful life, that we're accomplishing something, because we know what we're doing, what we're able to do on any given basis. We're sitting here learning together. What's going on in the heavens, we can't even imagine. The way God is looking down on us and smiling and singing and saying, look what we're doing over here. You come and spend a Shabbat over here. It's unbelievable, the level of meaning and treasure in all of the things that we do. But we can only get there if we allow ourselves to fully experience it, to really mean it. So, on a practical level, I would suggest a couple of things. Number one, so I'll tell you, just Sunday, sleep, yes, 100% sleep. We'll get to that one after. So, just on Sunday, my daughter, she's 11 years old, so she was going to a function, a little social gathering at the shul down the block. So she was going to walk there by herself. She was going to meet her friend there, but she was all nervous because she said, I only know one girl going. Only my one friend is going. And she didn't want to leave early because she said, Daddy, I'm scared if I get there early, and then I'm not going to know what to do. So I said to her, she doesn't have a phone, so yeah. So you know what you do when you get somewhere early, you don't know what to do, and nothing's going on, there's a lot of people around, you know what you do? By the way, I do this all the time, and I look ridiculous, I look so weird, but I love doing it because, I don't have that much guts, no, I wouldn't do that. No, you just sit. You go into place, you just sit, and just let your mind wander. The experts in psychology world today talk about the importance of letting your mind just wander, because it creates this space where your mind can start really focusing and processing everything it's been experiencing throughout the day. All the outside stimulation, let's say, process and becomes a part of you. Just sit and just let your mind just wander. It's like, what, Daddy, what? Why would I do that? What? Okay, she's 11 years old. She's not there yet. Maybe one day. But once in a while, trust me, try it. You get to a meeting, you're a few minutes early, just sit there. Resist the urge to pull the phone out. Don't pull it out. Just sit there, twiddle your thumbs. Literally, twiddle your thumbs. It'll feel great. Because everyone around you, you'll see everyone around you is pulling out the phones right away. And you'll know, wow, I didn't need to. Look at that. I feel good about that. You get into an elevator. Instantly, right away, got to pull out the phone. Just don't. Just stand there. Take the time to just let your mind go, to just feel the moment you're in. Question quickly, yeah?
Weren't people just doing the same things with newspapers? It's just an updated.
Not as much. First of all, not as much. First of all, not as much, but to a certain extent. But also, your brain functions differently. Reading a magazine, it's a more creative process in your brain. So your brain is working versus just scrolling through a screen. That your brain is more on autopilot. So it's not the same level. And again, the newspaper, you're right. So if a person's constantly distracting themselves with other things like that, it's not as much of a level, but it's still not as great, but still definitely better than the constant autopilot scrolling. So that's one suggestion. Find those times during your day when you can just sit and you don't have to pull the phone out. Second suggestion, like we said before, comes nighttime. And again, it could be scary. It could be an uncomfortable, awkward situation. Leave your phone out there somewhere. Buy an alarm clock. I bought one on Amazon for $9 after the one I had before that lasted me literally for 20 years. Every year or so, I'd have to replace one AA battery. It lasted me for 20 years. I stole it from my sister's house when I stayed there once, and I took it from her, and I took it with me for 20 years. From New Jersey to New York to Chicago, for 20 years, I used that alarm clock. By the way, I probably should. I think we have a table of hers also and a couple of chairs, so I have a lot to ask from her, but it's okay. Right, exactly. So this alarm, get the alarm clock, let that wake you up. Leave the phone outside. So when you get into bed, just let your mind think. And if it has scary thoughts, that's okay. Just know it's normal, it's fine. My day tomorrow is going to be awesome. And that way, hopefully, we're concentrating, we're thinking about our lives, we're taking in the world around us, and hopefully we get to that point, we can hear the sun turn. And how beautiful would that be?